Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time out to hear me talk about Steph Aureus. I know a lot of you guys probably not familiarized with it, but once you hear my speech on a few things in this PowerPoint slide that I'm about to pull up, then it'll elaborate more on in regarding of this infection. All right. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Perfect. Okay. All right. So what will be covered is about basically going over what is Staphylococcus aureus. A lot of people just shorten and abbreviate it as Staph aureus or S aureus, just to, because a lot of people don't like to go over the whole entire word because it is a very long word. But we'll go over the characteristics of it, meaning like how it looks and how it's differentiated amongst other microscopic cells that's out there. We'll go over the variants, the classifications, and the causes, which basically causes the Staph aureus, and also treatments. How can it be, treated? So if you do come in contact with it and you contract Staph aureus, then how could you prevent it? What type of antibiotics work for it? And also, what type of antibiotics that resist against it? And how to basically identify it if you come in contact or, know of someone that might have come in contact. And also, I will go over like the role of being a healthcare professional due to me working in healthcare in contact with the infection and how to prevent any complications in the future or so forth. So let me go into the slide. All right. So we have glycosaminoglycans, which are molecules, and you can find them throughout the skin, the joints, blood plasma, and mucous membrane of various organs. We also have peptoglycan, which is a cell within the walls that causes bacteria consisting of the glyco chains interlinked with the short peptides. So we're currently going over like the biology, the microbiology of it within our bodies. The bacteria within is thick and it has like a gram positive, and it's classified as a gram negative. But the further we go on to the slide, you'll have a better understanding. Okay, with the what is Staph aureus, which is a gram positive round and shaped bacterium, and it is frequently found in the upper respiratory tract and on the skin. So, with that being said, when you have like any expulsion, so if you cough or you have like a scratchy throat, sometimes we cough up in the morning time, mucus or whatever, and when we cough, sometimes some stuff is spilled. We think it might be simply just like some mucus, but depending on the characteristics of it, it determines exactly what it is. And it could be Staph aureus. And to elaborate a little bit more on the skin, yes, it lives on our skin and we don't know it. So when people always used to tell you like to go wash your hands or so forth, it's it's not stereotypical. It's just the fact that it has some meaning, it has some truth to it. It's in the most prominent areas that you wouldn't expect it, but the more I elaborate more on it, you'll see. All right, so Staphylococcus aureus is an important pathogen which range of infectious conditions, both nosocomial and community settings. The emergence and the spread of methicillin-resistant Staph aureus, MRSA strains, which are often multi-drug and resistance in hospitals and community, resulted in significant mortality. So, with this being said, to break it down into terms of understanding, is that when you come in contact with Staph aureus, it's serious enough and catastrophic to the point where MRSA, which is methicillin resistant. If you have a severity of staph infection, a lot of antibiotics that they might prescribe to you will work against it. So basically, it will reject it. So I don't know if you ever witnessed or heard of like gunshot wound victims. Once the bullet penetrates through the skin, so forth, it often causes a reaction. And sometimes the antibiotics doesn't work, fully on like it should. And so it resists. And that's why they say it's a significant mortality, depending on how severe the Staph aureus has affected your body. Characteristics. A lot of people say that they are more characterized as grape-like objects, shaped like little grapes. They show up on a microscope as green or purple. You might see something in your skin that look like an abscess, which is a boil, cellulitis. Staph aureus is normally found on top of the skin. The bacteria is harmless to the body. It can be caused within a cut or within a wound. And it's normally, the bacteria survives in moist areas. So with that being said, up under your armpits, you have it up under your armpits. That's why it's always very important to wash up under your arms, your groin areas, your genital area, and the creases in between your legs. It causes sweat glands. So wherever you have sweat, bacteria can be stored. And if it's Staph aureus, other things may come down with the health, like you'll get the boils and you'll get other types of infections. So you can also find it in the nose area because your nose, it has mucus, it's moist. So when they say like you clean your nose or, always wash your hands because you spread. Because if I touch you and I just clean, my nose with my hands, I spread it. Cross-contamination. All right, these are some of the types of the S. aureus. The staph infections are caused by several different types of staph germs. Like I told you, you come in contact with different germs. We have MRSA, which is methicillin resistant. We have the MSSA, which is methicillin susceptible Staphylococcus aureus. We have vancomycin, which is basically, methicillin is the antibiotics, the vancomycin is the antibiotics, but these different types of antibiotics become resistant to the staph infection, depending on the severity of it. How is Staph aureus most spread? It spreads from person to person, such as not changing your towels, you're washing your clothes, if you keep on the same underwear, not cleaning off the door handles when you touch it, when you're at work, because I know a lot of you guys are working right now from home. You have to clean off your little desktop area because if not, all those germs are accumulating. If you come in contact with somebody that have the bacteria, you bring it back home. So you want to keep everything sterile. Athletic equipment, if you're exercising, remote controls, if you turn on the TV constantly and you're not cleaning off stuff, you should. The causes, it's the germ types that commonly are formed on the skin. Like I said once before, the nose, the bacteria can cause multiple problems, like minor skin infections. As I don't know if you guys can see this picture that's up here. It's a guy that has like a little rash up under by his nose and below his lip area. In those areas, typically, that's like if your nose run. Whenever your nose run or anything like that, it causes moisture. So if the bacteria is in that area, it causes that combination, which is basically going to result to the inflammation of the skin and give you the staph infection. How can you get diagnosed? You can go for a physical exam with your primary doctor. I highly recommend for you to go to the doctor, just to get a culture, a skin scraping, imaging test. And depends on like the symptoms, you can get bone infections, endocarditis, which is from the heart, food poisoning, pneumonia symptoms, and toxic shock, which is basically you getting a high fever and your body is basically like convulsing and vomiting and diarrhea, all confusion, and skin infections, which is the pimples and the boils.